Welcome back to White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast, live action One Piece reactions from two primary manga readers. My name is Bruce, the producer of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. With me again this week is my Fishman Karate sparring partner, Gautam.
What's up, everyone?
It's the last two episodes, episode 7 and episode 8 of the One Piece live action. These episodes are called The Girl with the Sawfish Tattoo and Worst in the East. I got my straw hat. I got my Straw Hat Luffy t-shirt on today, and I'm pretty excited. We're going to talk about it as a whole. We're going to talk about the individual episodes. Gautam, give me your thoughts and feelings on episode 7, episode 8, the Arlong Park arc.
Oh, it's complicated, man. I thought it was... Overall, I thought it was good. But I don't know. It needed more. It needed more time. This one, of all the episodes and all the arcs, really suffered from how the show is paced. Yeah. I feel like I always see like these Netflix shows like The Punisher and Jessica Jones that run out of steam towards the end of it. And I'm like...
Having too many episodes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one I felt like could have used another one.
I agree. I actually think the most... I'll just start off with sort of the most vexing, weird thing to me is that like Syrup Village takes like a full 2 episodes to do all of that. Baratier, essentially the same, takes a full 2 episodes. And then Arlong Park is like an episode and a third, or like an episode and a half. They did not actually take the full 2 episodes to do Arlong Park. Like, it was all of episode 7 and the first... I don't even think it was the first half, but it was about the first half of episode 8, which is weird to like... I don't know. This definitely was originally slated to be 10 episodes. I think it would have been better for that. I am hoping now season 2, which seems inevitable, is more episodes. But yeah, I think that's the pacing thing you're mentioning, right? Is that episode 7 I actually thought was paced pretty well, but then episode 8 was like very fast and very boom, 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 and didn't leave a whole lot of room for a lot of stuff to breathe. Those were my issues with this. These were... I think I liked these maybe a little bit better than Syrup Village, but for different reasons, they also had issues. They were not perfect. They were still good.
Yeah. I completely agree with you there. And it's right. It was an episode and a half. And we had a lot of like Garp, Kobe, and Helmeppo stuff, which I really enjoyed. But in the back of my head, I can't help but to think that screen time could have been used towards Nami stuff. Mm-hmm. That's not fair, because I still enjoyed that stuff. Right, it is still really good seeing the extra Garp, Kobe, Helmeppo development. Yeah, but I think that's just the nature of it needing another episode.
I think just one more episode would have done it a lot of good. Yeah, I think you could have dedicated all of episode 8 to Arlong Park and had a lot more room to breathe, and then episode 9 could have been all the falling action stuff with Garp and Luffy and the Marines and all that. Because it was definitely... That episode 8 moved quick, even though it was an hour long. So
exactly, and I think my criticism last time of the Garp and Kobe stuff and them just not doing too much, I think at the end of the day it wrapped up in a way that was satisfying, and I thought was cool. It's just, and I shouldn't be holding their screen time as a criticism. Yeah. To wanting more for the rest of the show. I just think. You don't need to cut anything. We just need more time.
More time, yeah.
Just a little bit more time, even. Yeah.
And I feel like that's inevitable with something that, they compressed 120 chapters into, about 7 hours.
While I think that's fair to understand that perspective, the product suffers from it. Regardless,
it does. And I think,
even with the context,
Yeah, and it isn't. Let's maybe back up just a little bit. Even though these 2 episodes were definitely not the strongest, I think that it shows, because they're the last 2, it shows sort of issues with the whole season and it maybe not being long enough, not giving enough time to certain moments. How do you feel overall about the show, though, now that it's finished and over?
Yeah, I think it's important to point out, I did like Arlong Park, and I did like the show overall. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty damn good.
I still think, reiterating what he said in the chapter, or the episode 1 and 2 reactions, that the fact that this is not a steaming pile of shit and ridiculous and stupid, the fact that it's like pretty decent and really good at times is like a marvel among itself. Like, and it's got the little things for One Piece readers and fans and watchers, I guess, in it that make you smile extra, and they go, oh my gosh, they got it so right. They got this so right. The Straw Hats are all perfect. I feel like for most One Piece fans, this is a hit. I think if you're not a fan of One Piece and you watch this, I think it drops a point or so, right? Like, if I were to give this, I would probably give this show like an 8, maybe an 8.5, and I think if you had not consumed One Piece at all and tried to watch it, you would be like, it's like a 7, maybe a little lower or something. But because I think a lot of it is hidden stuff that is like, oh yes, they got that so right from 1,000 chapters from now, and they've got all the, all of the characterization that we know is in there. But if you don't know that stuff, you're just kind of watching weirdos be weirdos, and I don't know if it works as well. I'm not sure, because I can't watch it without the context I have of reading the manga. So,
and that's the problem, right? It's a I can't either. I can't separate that.
Yeah, maybe you like it more. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I think my issue is I so can't separate the context from reading the manga that I innately make comparisons, which is why we even talk about it right now.
Exactly.
Or people watch this. But I think Arlong Park was like such a high and heavy emotional beat in the manga, and I can't help but to feel a little bit bummed that it wasn't that here. But it was still good, and I think it still hit its emotional beat, just not nearly as strongly. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, Arlong Park is where you read One Piece and it's good and there's some good stuff and it's fun and you're like, yeah, this is actually really good. It's not just, this goofy garbage that I thought it was previously. And then you get to Arlong Park and you're like, wait a minute. This is actually like expertly written. Like, the character development over 100 chapters is awesome. It resolves perfectly. It's epic. You smile, you cry, and it's awesome. This got some of that, but definitely not as severe, right? Not as high a high as Arlong Park in the manga is.
I agree. And you know what? It's not all just me poo-pooing it. It's just kind of overall thoughts in comparison. But why don't we take it from the top of episode 7, and we can talk about the good parts and the bad parts. Yeah,
let me pause. I'm going to hold my hands up and pause. My master audio recording for you is not working. I'm not getting your audio, so we don't need to re-record it as long as you've got yours, but I want to try to get it in there just in case, just so I can look stuff up. It's this stupid...
Should I clap?
No, you're fine. I can't hear when you clap anyways, so...
But you can still see the spike in mine, right?
I can still see the spike, yeah. I just need to force quit. I have 25 instances of voice mod for some reason. See if that works. Okay, say something.
Test.
Let me... Dang. Say something?
Hello?
Properties.
Testing, hello.
Yeah, sorry.
Is it working?
Default. Headphones. No. Wavelength system. Say something?
Test.
Fuck, man. Why? I see why streamers have so much issue with OBS. It's like, It's like, why did it break? Why did it change? Like, it literally worked. When we recorded the last episode? Like Friday?
It worked fine.
Literally worked then, and it's just not working.
That's okay. Let's just use mine.
Yeah, okay. I guess as long as you get your recording, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, whatever. We're going. Okay, hands up. Okay, we're back. Yeah, let's start at the top just with some notes on episode 7. Fishing with Sanji, I thought was great. That's a good moment. There's lots of little good moments in these episodes.
That's great. I liked him calling Zoro Mosshead and Zoro saying the only thing I want out of you is a menu.
Yeah, and it's not in this episode, but he calls him the waiter again, which I think is going to be the new like eyebrows, which I think is great. We mentioned, I think, in the last recording we did that, like, yeah, calling him a waiter instead of a chef, like that'll get him. That's a good
that totally works.
Yeah,
that's
that
great.
totally works. Buggy is still here. He's still a funny guy. I think Buggy is one of the standout characters in the show for sure.
I liked how absolutely obnoxious he was in episode 7. He was bordering on annoying in like the best way because he's supposed to be annoying as fuck. I'm enjoying Buggy. He's a delight to see on screen.
He's great. Yeah. So we mentioned in the last episode, the Baratier stuff, how I mentioned a lot about how I wish Sanji had been more, not like a womanizer, but I wish he had like been more, into other women and, more of the like, oh, I'm into all girls instead of just Nami. And the good thing is, I think that these 2 episodes did more of that and gave us that context for Sanji, and I think it worked. He has a line, I think, right at the beginning of episode 7 where I think they're talking about Nami, but he says like, oh, like any woman, she's a mystery to be unraveled. It's like, okay, that's like that's perfect. That's exactly what I needed more of in the last 2 episodes, and they're here, so I can't really fault them for just delaying it a little bit. It's like, okay.
No, that stuff was really good with Sanji. Yeah. And he is a womanizer, but I'm glad they capture that aspect of his character in the very much Johnny Bravo way, like we were talking about, where
the hopeless romantic, always scorned.
Yeah, he's always flirting, never seeing success, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
We went into Nami's flashback in episode 7. I thought little kid Nami did a great job.
Yeah, she was good. She was a good actor for sure.
She completely outacted her mom, Bellamere.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, man. I don't think Bellamere's actress is that good.
And she had a lot. You have to. It's hard because in the manga, Belmere's like this kind of hard ass ex-marine, and it comes across really well, and then it's really sad. I don't know. My initial problem with the flashback is that, and man, like every show is guilty of this almost, is like, oh, you want to show how nice someone's childhood was? You just do a flashback, and everyone's so happy, and they're all giggling, and they're all smiling, and it's like, bro, no one, that doesn't happen in real life. There's no real life place where like you and your sister and your mom are all just giggling and super happy all the time. Like, I don't know. I never believe it when they flash back to shit like that. So that was my little problem with the start of it. But after that,
it was just done too fast, Because it went from emotional beat to beat in that flashback, from smiling to like, you're not my real mom and sister.
Exactly.
And then it's like Nami's stealing. It's like, hey, don't steal. It's like, that's not you. It's like you went from every single point in the flashback to exactly what it represents in real life.
Yeah, there was no nuance at all in it. It was just like, haha, we're so happy, but Nami doesn't feel like it's a real family, and also she's a kleptomaniac, and it's like just bam, bam, bam.
It's just too fast. It's like every beat of the flashback is a plot device, or like relating to something. It didn't feel natural. It just feels like here's the beats about the character you need to know for the future and why it affects your emotion. Kind of a thing.
It definitely would have been. This is another one of those things where if we had more room and more time in these episodes, you could have cut up the flashback more and compared it with current day Nami, and it would have sort of lined up better to be like, oh, they were all happy, and then like, oh, but Nami, at the time, even back then, she didn't feel like she fit in totally with her family, and then and she stole stuff, and that was bad. It's like, but instead, it's just like you just get them, bam, 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 and it's like, well, there's not enough time here to consume this all, so.
I think another issue I had was that Nojiko just wasn't given anything in that flashback.
Yeah, not in the flashback. She's given more to do in the current time, but yeah, in the flashback she was just kind of like, it's Nami's sister. That's all you need to know. You don't get anything else.
I think that's in proxy of the flashback just being too fast and focusing on the main beats because Nami is the main character
for sure. Yeah. I liked Nami playing cards. I liked that it showed her like that she cheated at cards. I think that's very Nami. Like that's very
especially she's just like we never cheat. When it comes to money, and then she's like, so what's that fish man? Who grabbed her hand and he's like, hey, you cheated.
Yeah.
Was that guy Hachi?
I think they made one of them look a little bit like Hachi, but it wasn't Hachi. I didn't check the credits, but because I saw one of them and I was like, that guy's got the same like hairstyle as Hachi. but also he's like definitely not an
yeah.
octopus. So
it makes sense that they excluded Hachi. He would have been too hard to figure out.
Okay, wait. You have to answer this to me because I saw this and I made a note of it, and for some reason it just blew my mind. Was Arlong Park always an amusement park? And I'm just an idiot?
No.
Okay.
It was just like a big house.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because when I saw that they made it into like this amusement park, I was like, that's interesting, but I don't remember Arlong Park being an amusement park.
That's a good point. It wasn't an amusement park.
Okay, good. Thank God. I thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to say that, and you're going to be like, what are you talking about, Bruce? It's always an amusement park. You're just forgetting and stupid. But no, okay, that makes me feel a little bit better about my reading of it.
It does make sense, though, that they'd keep Buggy in like one of the boots as the clown body. I don't know. It was never an amusement park. It actually does not make sense within context for it to be an amusement park. But
I mean, I thought it made perfect sense. I thought it made sense in the show to be like, oh, all the fishermen, it's their gang hangout, and of course they want it to be fun, right? I mean, like, I've seen other gang hangouts and shows. It's like, oh, they have a basketball hoop or whatever. It's like, and these guys made it into an amusement park. Like, that's I get that. Okay, that's fine. Fair. Like, I didn't mind it at all. Go ahead.
It made sense that Buggy was there, considering it's an amusement park. There's just so many clown-related, circus-related, amusement-related situations in this show.
Yeah. I did like in the flashback how it made sense that Nami is scared of adoptive family because it's like kind of her second or like her third time being adopted, and the first time she yelled at her mom and Nojiko, and the second time it's the fishmen, and it's like, okay, I get why Nami is very tentative about joining another group of people, the Straw Hats, and being an adoptive family because it didn't really work out for her both times. Even if it did, if it was good with Belmere died, and so it's like, and that's scary. And then she was with fishmen, and that's not a good family. And so it's like, to me that all made sense and lined up. But that it makes sense in the manga and stuff too. But I thought it worked here. So
it makes a lot of sense, right? It's like every time she lets people in, she gets hurt, and
exactly, yeah,
the people get hurt, and anytime she lets down her guard, it's exploited as a weakness in some regard or another, which. It all adds up to making her a perfectly complex character.
Yeah.
I thought the actress was still the standout. Nami just absolutely crushed.
I mean, to be honest, this flashback is a breath of fresh air. Anything's better than the Zoro flashback, man. Anybody else.
Yeah, that one was not great.
Yeah.
Okay,
what's your
so
next
another thing I like is Zeph and Garp talking. That never happened in the manga. It was interesting to see two of the old guard.
That's the two, that's probably the two best actors in the whole show talking to each other. And so those scenes were like maybe my favorite part of these episodes. It's like you've legitimately put the two best actors on the show in the same room, like chewing the scene, talking to each other. And it's great, especially Zeph, man. Zeph is like, he's so good in this show.
Okay. So there's a very cool thing about Zeph. I like how Zeph, every single time he needs to like handle a situation, he's like, I'll get you some free food. Mm-hmm. You know, we got some excellent T-bones. Something like that. He did that for Arlong.
And Arlong, I think he knew. Yeah. Sorry.
It didn't take the bribe, but I knew Garp would instantly take the bribe, and he did.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Zeph was familiar with Garp enough to be like, this guy loves meat. If I just offer him meat, he's gonna sit down and like not bother me. And he's like, I got 4 T-bone steaks, and Garp's like, oh yeah, you do?
Yeah, let's talk.
I thought, and I think it's the scene right before the Zeph and Garp stuff, I thought that Arlong talking to Nami, I think he like calls her up and like explains his plan or complains about fisherman racism or whatever. I thought that was a good scene. Arlong isn't always good. He's a little mustache twirly, but I feel like when they are leaning into the sort of Malcolm X kind of violent racist parallel with Arlong, it works better for me. When he's just kind of being like evil bad guy, it doesn't work as well. But when he's like saying like, you know, fishmen, there's prejudice against us and we're gonna fight back, like to me that stuff all worked really well. I thought the writing there just worked. And I mean, one of the showrunners for the show is also black, and I feel like you could tell that they understand that dynamic. And so I thought Arlong here talking to Nami about like the fishmen are going to take back what's ours, what's owed to us because we've been enslaved and all that stuff. Like I thought that worked really well.
I thought so too, and I thought the actor who played Arlong totally won me over.
He's a lot better in these 2 episodes than he's been in the past.
For sure. Especially, I thought he was way better here than he was in the trailer, even. I was a little worried about how Arlong would be portrayed, but Arlong was great. I thought he was imposing.
Yeah, and then we also get another flashback where Arlong flips the house over. It's a little goofy. I mean, there's this.
I was fine with that.
I don't know. There's this weird line where it's like
goofiness.
It is, yeah. I was about to say there's this weird line for me where it's like,
apart, right? Yeah.
Yes, and that's the weird line, right? Where it's like, okay, it is goofy, it is One Piece, it is supposed to be cartoonish, but also like a real house like doesn't just flip like that. It doesn't work like that. So yeah. I don't know. To me, there's like a very thin line between like it's One Piece goofiness, and yes, it does work like that, and also like you cannot just uproot a house and flip it without it completely falling apart. Like the structure is not meant to do that; it would just fall apart. And somehow this was like on the side of, not for me. So,
it's funny. Like in the live action, they were also like kind of straw, shoddily made houses too. So I'm like, this thing is held together by like rubber bands and bubble gum. This thing would crumble.
But it's existing perfectly upside down, just sitting there. So I don't know.
That's okay. I think I had bigger, and I think you did too. It had bigger issues on this, and you can actually let me know if you had problems. It was in this very episode, but we'll get there in a second. So Sanji speaks to Nojiko. Well, they catch up with Nojiko, who threatens to shoot him.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Before that, there's something because they go to the what's the name of the village? Cocoa Village. Cocoa Village. Yeah. They go to the village. They look around. They see everything's kind of messed up, and then Nami comes right to like collect the payment, I think. Yeah. And I love the foreshadowing here because I think it's Luffy says like, if like to Nami is like if you need our help, like. You know, he's very much implying like you have to ask, which is a big thing with Luffy is like you have to ask him for help because he's not going to assume you need it and he's not going to give it to you. He's not going to take away your freedom by giving you help when you don't ask for it. So it's like I thought that was good foreshadowing that they put that line in there. But yeah, then they know about Nojiko and everything. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
There was you're right. Like there was also some other good stuff where. Luffy more or less wants to hear it from Nami's own mouth instead.
Exactly. Yeah, he said that earlier. I think I had a note where it's like I have to hear it from her. She has to tell me that this is what she wants. That she wants to be with the fisherman pirates.
So this was a cute callback where Sanji passes a persuasion check to win over Nojiko.
Yes.
The same way Zeph does with a meal. I like that they're kind of spitting images of each other. You know. Like Sanji took a lot from Zeph in that regard. So I like that.
He's got a line in there where he's like, I don't remember who he's talking to. Maybe it's Luffy or somebody. He's like, you don't know women, man. They never say what they mean, which is a very like again like a great Sanji line, great development for his like womanizer personality.
Yeah, it speaks to his character. Well, okay. Here's a difference that I didn't like. That was a change from the manga. It is Cocoa Village doesn't understand that Nami was working for Arlong for them.
Does she know that in the manga? I don't remember.
The whole village and Nojiko knows that Nami is putting up the front, extorting them for money because she is working within the quote-unquote system to save their village. Right. And they're putting up with all of it and playing along. So that Nami's plan can work. Like all of her sacrifices can be made worth it. And at the end, they take the fight to Arlong because they fucked over Nami.
Right, yeah.
But here, all of them think Nami's a tyrant. And her sister's like, you're a monster, what have you become? I think that's less powerful.
Yeah, now that I didn't remember that, but now that you mentioned that, yeah, it is kind of... Because them, taking the fight and stuff is like... They learn it right at the end, right? They learn like, oh, you were saving money for us, and Nojiko sees it, and I think the whole town sees it, right? And then they're like, okay, now we'll go fight for you. But that's a very quick turn. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a more kind of like they chose the more kind of like dramatic way to do it, where it's like everybody hates her, but now they realize she was on their side. Now they're going to go fight for her. That's like a much more severe turn. That's more dramatic. But yeah, I kind of agree that it would have been better maybe if they like they knew what she was doing. It also shows us, I think, more that it makes Nami a bit more sympathetic of like, oh, she's been stealing for her hometown and the hometown all knows and loves her. And so it's much more clear that it's like, okay, Nami's not this like bad, terrible person who we have to like maybe dislike for an episode and then come back to liking her. It's like you like her the whole time, but you just realize she's in like a shitty situation. So
yeah, and okay, so there's like a few trains of thought here, right? On why they would switch this decision up. One, it's they want to make it so that Nami's willing to do what's best for her village, even if it means she's hated. But that was the case for the manga too, because they all played along. Nami didn't know that. She thought she was hated by the village, even though they all knew what her
okay,
plan.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I like that the village in the manga knew exactly what Nami was doing and the reason she was doing it, and was playing along because she already sacrificed so much for the village, and she was on the verge of her plan being completed, and they got pissed on her behalf after the Marines stole from her and Arlong rescinded the deal or went back on it.
Right.
Because they all care about Nami just as she cares about the village. Here, it's more so they all revile Nami. They're all like, she's terrible.
We hate her. She was, yeah.
And then they're like, we had no idea. We're so sorry that we didn't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're on your side. I think the manga version was better.
I definitely agree with you on that. They've chosen the more kind of TV drama, melodrama version where everybody hates her and then, oh, it's a twist and now everybody loves her. And instead of like there being a much more nuanced isn't really the right word, but it's a much more
it was more nuanced.
It is more nuanced, but it's a bit more just kind of level-headed. It's less dramatic, but it's just still sort of effective.
Yeah, I thought it made the bond between her and the people of the village stronger.
Right, which it forms them fighting for her at the end a little bit better, I would say. So
it was bizarre that Nojiko also didn't trust Nami.
Yeah, that's like you hate your sister for 10 years and suddenly you're like, oh no, just kidding, I love you. It's like, no, people have a hard time when they're betrayed and they think they've been betrayed for that long coming back around. That's like, so yeah, that doesn't work nearly as well, I'd say.
Especially because it was like, okay, so how this worked in the manga is that Luffy didn't hear any of Nami's backstory. He stormed off because he didn't need to hear it.
Yeah.
And Nojiko effectively told the rest of the Straw Hats who were suspicious of Nami because of her actions. It's like, okay, here's Nami's kind of true character and what she's working towards. So you can understand my sister a little better. But here it's like, here's what happened to our mom and Nami's a monster.
Yeah.
And the Straw Hats have to instead take Nami's side and say, hey, maybe there's more complexity here. It's like, instead of her own sister, it was just like, I don't know. It doesn't work as well.
I will say, while it doesn't work as well, I still think it works in the show. It doesn't not work. It's just different. It's a little bit more dramatic, melodramatic.
It is different, and the nature of us talking about this is that I'm inevitably comparing it to the source material.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether that's fair or not.
But
anyway,
moving on.
I wanted to linger on that plot point because I think that was a big difference that I thought.
Yeah, so I didn't even remember that, but now that you say that, it's like, yeah, that is probably a little bit more kind of smoother of a way to do all that. But I liked I liked Luffy calling, what's the mayor's name? It's just like, hey, Scar guy. It's just like, oh yeah, always great. Also, there's like a lot more Sanji stuff here because when they talk to Nojiko and she's like, oh, we're sisters, he's like, sisters, that makes sense, like both as beautiful as each other. It's like, okay, good. He's hitting on other women. They aren't taking it. It's great.
Sanji was very funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was this scene where they were showing the spitting guy's power before his fight, like in episode 7. Mm-hmm. He was just drunk and shooting fireballs. I thought that was sick. That was also good foreshadowing for his fight. Yeah.
I liked, there's just a scene where Helmeppo and Kobe are just like watching Garp eat. It's like 20 seconds long. And I also like, because we're kind of cutting back with Garp and Zeph here. Again, I think these Garp and Zeph scenes are like maybe my favorite part because there's a lot of, we don't really get this in the manga until like where do they coat the ship in the bubbles? What is that place called? I've forgotten.
Shabandi or Shabodi.
Shabodi, yeah, the Shabodi archipelago, right? That's when we kind of get this idea of like the new pirate generation. They're coming up. It's their time. Blah blah blah. I like that Zeph here is like Garp, like you're old. Like your time is over. You and Gold Roger, like you're a thing in the past. Like these new pirates, they're gonna be the thing. I like that was Zeph's kind of like. I've seen it. I raised one of these new pirates myself. It's their time. Like we old guys need to get out of the way because their time is coming and their time is more important than ours. Which, if you've read the manga, you realize that their time is the most important time in hundreds of years. So I liked that a lot. But with those two,
I very much enjoyed that, and it felt like a treat for manga readers.
For sure, that was like it was very much. If you're a manga reader, you're going like hell yeah, let's go. If you aren't, you're like oh yeah, okay, new generation, sure.
I like how Zeph was using like whiskey as a metaphor about like it's aged perfectly. Just drink it, not kind of like it's like our time is done. And Garp is just like I just want to drink whiskey.
I just want to drink whiskey. Yeah.
he does not want the metaphor out of all of it. He just wants to drink.
It's definitely interesting going back and listening to like the first 4 when we recorded our episodes on the first 4 episodes of how we're like yeah Garp is like a lot more serious and not really the same and.
Well, he was.
I think something this show has done, now that we're at the end here, is that it introduces... how do I say this? By the time you get to the end, almost all the complaints we had about characterization stuff at the beginning is gone. Like, for me, I guess specifically, for instance, we complained in episode 3 and 4, it's like, yeah, I don't know, Usopp wasn't really shown to be that cowardly, and then in Baratie, he's like hiding under a table and running away. It's like, okay, there it is. And then in 5 and 6, I was like, well, Sanji wasn't really the womanizer I thought he needed to be, and in these two, it's like, okay, it's great. He's making these comments about women. He's hitting on Nojiko. Like, there it is. It's there. Garp is, oh, maybe he's too serious. He's not goofy. I haven't heard him laugh. And then we get his laugh. We get his meat stuff. He's goofy. It's like, it all like... I just didn't give it enough time. I mean, just the way we've recorded these episodes, right? It's like if you just give it more time, they get there eventually, and it all just works. I like that a lot about the show.
I do think it all works. I think Usopp is still not cowardly. That doesn't feel like his arc at the moment. But that's okay. He was charming and he's like full of bluster. And they show little parts of it here and there. With that said, I will say that Sanji is just way too charming. He's not prickly, and that's not a bad thing. I find him to be a pleasure to see on screen. But Zoro and Sanji fighting is a battle of ego where they're both wrong, and here it more so feels like Zoro is just has a thing against Sanji, because Sanji is pretty just charming as a person. And I think he's not prickly on his side.
I think that works as long as he can be really charming to the audience, as long as when he's charming in the show, the girls still reject him, right? So I think that's okay as a change. Like,
well, I think more so what I mean when Zoro and Sanji fight is that both of them are just throwing their egos at each other instead of here it feels like one-sided, where, like as in Zoro is instigating.
I definitely did get the feeling.
Instigate
yeah, it's not like so terrible that I hated it, but it's definitely one of those things where it's like, come on, Zoro, man, give Sanji a chance. We love him. He's great. As opposed to like, oh, both these idiot ego guys thrown around. I definitely see what you're saying there.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. I do like the banter back and forth. It was perfect, these 2 episodes. I just need Sanji to take a few shots unfairly as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, well, if we're complaining about it now, probably in the next 2 episodes they'll do it. I mean, it'll be years before we see those, but
no, I agree. I think give this show time. We like we talked about. This only had so many episodes, and more could have gone into Arlong Park. Yeah. Give it more time. There'll be more banter where Sanji's the shithead and the shithead first.
Yeah. I liked. They introduced Azumi of the Marines. I like how they don't explain why he's wearing a hoodie or why he is like a rat man. It's just there. And I think that's great. Don't ever explain that. Don't have anyone ever question why sheep people or rat people exist. More flashback stuff. Belmere saying like, I have 2 daughters. That to me that was my gut punch. Cause I was like, oh my God, she just like sold out her kids. And then they just fucking murk her in her house right there. I don't remember in the manga. Don't the Marines kill Belmere?
No, it's still
Okay.
Arlong.
It's still Arlong? Okay.
It depends on the version you want. Like, if you watch the 4Kids version, they take her to prison forever.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it just seemed wild to me that she was like, well, I don't have the money, and then Arlong was like, all right, guess I'll kill you then, and then just murk her, and it's just like, okay. I mean, maybe there was a middle ground of like, well, then you're gonna keep paying me, and then I get more money. It seems very weird to like, as like, if you're a drug dealer or, you know, a mobster.
Arlong is a short-sighted idiot.
Yeah, that's true. And he's also very like, he just hates humans. So it's like, oh, he disappoints him, he's gonna kill him. So yeah, it makes sense. It just felt very like, oh, okay, I just murked her. It's over now, I guess.
That was really good. I wanted to point out one scene I liked. Well, a few scenes. One is Kobe and Helmeppo drinking together. That was great.
Yes, that was a good one. Mm-hmm.
Arlong talking to the Marine Ratman and saying, "Junbei's a coward." You know.
Yes, there's a little bit of some stuff before that, but yeah, I have like an all caps note that says like, "A fishman is one of the warlords." Jinbei name drop in my notes because I was super hyped about that. Yeah, Luffy has this line where he's like, "I'm tired of hearing about Nami from other people," where he gets like angry about it. So
yeah, exactly. That was great. There was Zeph telling Garp a story about Jaya, and which is more Skypiea stuff.
I heard the Jaya name drop, and I was like, I know that's important. I don't remember what it was because Skypiea was very much I glazed over most of it. I didn't like that arc very much. So
I love that arc.
Yeah,
but it was. Then Garp had a line. It's like, "You're not tricking me with your delicious stories." You know?
Yeah, Garp. Yeah, the Garp and Zeph stuff is like my favorite. There was I think Zoro and Luffy talking on like the roof of the house or something, and Zoro's like, "She told you to leave, Luffy. Like, why don't you respect that?" And he's like, "Yeah, you did too." And that, like, again, the writing of just the Straw Hats interacting with each other is like always great in this show. It's like so good.
Yeah, it is just a pleasure to see on screen. It's the best part, which is why I can't say like, I think I would have been more down on Arlong Park if I didn't think there was so many damn good Straw Hat
little
scenes.
Moments in it.
Yeah.
That same conversation, like right after that, Zoro's like, how do you know? How do you know she's going to come around? And he's like, the same way I knew about you, the same way I knew about Usopp, the same way I knew about Sanji. And Zoro's like, yeah, I don't know about the waiter. I was just like, little stuff like that is like, perfect. They get it. Like, I think the most encouraging thing about the show maybe is that like, even if they make little missteps, even if some of the rewrites aren't great, even if the changes aren't always the best, it's like, they clearly get it. Like, you know, not everyone is a perfect writer. Not everyone is as good a writer as Oda, obviously. But they get it, right? They understand what One Piece is, who these characters are. Like, they get it, which means that I like trust them to make more, I think.
Me too. I thought the Nami, the scene that we all love where Luffy gives Nami the straw hat, that was very well acted, and Nami's actress did such a fucking good job. Exactly what I wanted. It didn't hit the same emotional beats as the manga.
It's different because, well, I don't want to talk about, there's like a little bit before there, but...
Go ahead.
The shot stuff, well, I mean, Garp and Zeph are talking, and Zeph drops the, like, you know who he reminds me of, and Garp's like, don't you fucking say it, and he's like, reminds me of Gold Roger, and Garp's like, God damn it. That
was very good.
It's, for manga readers, it feels a little on the nose, but also needed, I think, for a show that has abbreviated the manga, right? Like, you need someone to just outright say, like, hey, the previous kind of King of the Pirates, Gold Roger, the guy that we executed in the start, like, this kid is kind of his, like, reincarnation type thing, so.
Yeah. It's like they had the same vibe about them, for sure.
Yeah.
I like that that's mentioned.
I liked the scene with, I think it's with Azumi and Arlong, where Azumi is like, oh, you're smart, and they give you credit for it. And Arlong is like, you did not just fucking say that.
Dude, I was going to say, this girl's out here taking bribes, then talking about how the world government is good to the fishmen after the slavery's ended. He talked himself out of money.
Yeah, impressive. Well, and then they like decreases the money, and he takes it, and then Arlong throws it back in his face and is like, you're smarter than people give you credit for. Scenes like that, I think, are great. Like, Arlong was really good in that scene, I thought.
Yeah, no, that was a very good scene.
That was great.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, Kobe and Helmeppo drinking. I thought that was great. I thought Kobe in that scene was good. Jaya name drop. Kid reminds me of Roger. Oh, Usopp making smoke bombs. I thought was cool. The very like, okay,
right.
They kind of sped. Because I'm trying to remember. Did he make the like special bombs pre time skip? He did a little bit, right? But
yeah. He post time skip. He uses plant stuff.
It's the plant stuff. That's what it is. Yeah.
I thought Buggy would talk to him about one of his infamous Buggy bombs. I was hoping there would be a name drop or something in there.
That would have been interesting. Did you see what happened to the place I took over? That was a Buggy bomb. Yeah.
That would have been a good little call out. Because it's like they didn't do the Buggy bomb stuff. He seems
so
to
how
be
do we
very
get
proud
the
of it
greatest panel in One Piece? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The scene where Nami's like digging up the chest and all that is good. Nojiko showing up and talking is good. Something that I really liked about that whole scene was after the Marines show up, Nami is like, what is it? She's like crying and is like screaming and is like, no, you can't take it. And instead of just like letting her kind of scream and be dramatic, while on the ground, she's like screaming and somebody just like hits her and her face hits the ground. I'm like, oh shit, like okay.
Yeah, that was brutal.
For some reason that little moment I was like, hell yeah, like that makes it a lot better for me. Instead of just like letting the actor kind of act and removing the reality of the scene, you're just like, don't just let the girl scream, like fucking knock her out. And they did, and I was like, that was really good. So
yeah, that was fucking visceral. Nami's actress was so
Nami's
good.
actress is so good. Yeah, her like screaming, her like trying to run to Cocoa Village and then like screaming like Arlong and stabbing herself. Like as much as the little stabs maybe didn't. I saw some people commenting on how it's like, she should have like slashed her arm. It's like, I don't know how far you can go in self-harm in shows like this. It still felt pretty visceral and like extreme to me, so I liked it.
It felt good. I don't think, like, you know, the manga also had her stab, like putting the whole knife in her fucking arm.
Yeah,
it's like cartoon logic.
It's a little more cartoony in the manga, obviously, but yeah. So the help me scene. This is, or take some time to talk about this because this is like this and then I Want to Live are maybe like the two. My two favorite moments in One Piece are probably these two right here. I thought from Nami's side, I thought it still worked. I thought her asking for help for me still gave me chills and worked a lot. It's and Luffy's response is the same. It is a little different. It does not work as well. And I'm going to tell you why, because in manga, in paneling, the sort of the turn and the exclamation of like, of course I will, is like a page turn, right? And the page turn in manga is really strong and powerful. You can do it to reveal big things and surprise people. You don't have a page turn on the screen, right? So it has to be a little different. So I understand the changes they made. I still thought it worked. It is definitely not as emotionally resonant as the manga. I still thought it worked in general. So
it still worked. You just can't help but to make the comparison, right? Like
exactly. Yeah.
And
different mediums. You cannot translate 1-to-1. It's an adaptation for a reason.
It was still disappointing to me, though. And it's not the fault of the actress because it was super well acted. It just didn't have the setup it needed for it to be the emotional beat that I wanted it to be.
I see. I think if I had to make a change to it, it's hard to say what I could do because in the manga, you kind of don't know what to expect because Luffy looks like kind of like angry at Nami, right? I think I maybe would have played it more like that, like Luffy like put it at her head and looking like really like sad and disappointed, and then just like being like, "Of course I will," and then just like running off. I don't know, but it's hard to say how it could have been done better. Maybe they did it a different way and it didn't work. But what's up?
For me, it's because this was so fast that no single emotional moment or emotional setup for this moment was given any time to breathe or stew. Yeah. We just go from beat to beat to beat because we only have so much time. So it all felt too fast. Yeah. This all happened within the span of like 45 minutes. It was just too fast.
And even the amount of time to go from like oh, okay, Nami's digging up the money that she's going to use to buy back Cocoa Village, and then Nojiko discovers it, and then the Marines come, and then they take it, and then she's running away, and the Straw Hats find her. That's like 5 minutes of the show, like maybe 8 minutes, right? Like it's really fast. Whereas in the manga, right, it's like you learn Nami's backstory. It's 3 or 4 chapters, this and that. It's another couple chapters, and it's like, okay, again, like you're saying, things have time to breathe. There's more room to it. It's an abbreviated show, and I still think it's good. Like we said, I still think it's good. It's definitely not as good as the manga, but that's the obvious comparison.
Well, I think my one point of disappointment is that it was so well acted that I think that very same scene, without changing anything, would have hit so much harder if it wasn't so quickly paced before this, you know?
Yeah, true.
But I'm so impressed that they got the scene so well acted.
I would say they got it not wrong. Like, it's not wrong. It's definitely like not as good as a manga, but it's still the correct. I think it's the correct emotions, while not maybe as high. But it's like they didn't get it wrong. It's good. It's right.
If the biggest issue I have is that the show went too fast and it's just like too quickly paced. I think that is small potatoes in comparison to me thinking, oh well, they just really didn't capture anything about this moment. It's like they captured almost everything. It just didn't feel as earned because everything was so condensed and abridged.
I think
that's a smaller problem to have.
Exactly. Yeah, I think all the things we're talking and complaining about are pretty small potatoes in the breadth of what is a pretty dang good show.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I'm speaking within the context of this show, like, winning me over, you know? Like, if I didn't like this, I don't think I would even consider.
Yeah, we would have watched 2 episodes and been like, nope, they don't get it. And then been like, sorry, not doing the rest. But yeah, we made it all the way to the end. I will say one little thing I wish, and this is like, I've seen a couple of movies and TV shows that do this where they don't know where to cut the end of a movie or a show. I'm thinking of like the end of the recent Batman one. I wish this episode had just ended and cut to black on Luffy yet like screaming, "Of course I will." They had this whole
"Let's go, boys" kind of a.
Well, the "Let's go, boys" was fine. That should have been the start of the next episode because they do the "Let's go, boys" thing with like the cool manga panel that they literally did 1-to-1 on screen, which was awesome with the Straw Hats sitting there. But then they sort of like look at the burning village and the camera pans up and it like takes its time for like 10 or 15 seconds to look at the burning village. It's like, okay, I get it.
You could have made that less episode 8, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's less cool than just being like, of course I will, and then cut, and then you start, and it's like, boom, get in the gang, stuff's on fire, let's go. Like that, to me, that feels like a better cut, but again, pretty small potatoes, so.
Yeah, so I think that's about all I have on 7.
Me too. Start episode 8, I immediately have one of my biggest complaints, do we really need to see child Nami getting a tattoo? Is that a scene that we needed in this? I don't fucking think so. I hated that.
I actually like that scene because it was fucked up.
It was. That's why I did like it.
Yeah, well, I thought it lended itself well to the emotions Luffy feels when when Nami also has like a scene a little later. She's like, "Oh yeah, Arlong let me out of my shackles at 12."
Yeah, I don't. It's just present, like you know. I'm good even with showing like because right after that you see like she has the tattoo and it's bloody. I'm just showing that, you know, she has a tattoo in current day, right? We've seen it a bunch. Just showing her like, oh shit, they gave her a tattoo when she was like 12 or whatever. And it's like bloody. And so they just did it. Like, oh shit, that's intense. As opposed to like watching the fisherman like fucking poke her arm with it. Like, I didn't need to see that.
And then the little girl really being such a good actress that she's like giving
that's another part of it. She's so good that it's like, I don't need to see this little girl being tortured. Like, please, I don't need to see this. So that was immediately started. I was like, what the fuck? I think
that's what it was trying to elicit out of you. You know, that's
it did. Yeah, but I also it's like I didn't like it. So
yeah. Oh, I think that was the intention because it was supposed to show that she was just like abused. You know. But. So I liked it because it was really fucked up and it kind of made the audience angry. Justified Luffy's like you want the audience to be like, oh fuck Arlong, you know.
Exactly.
This guy fucking sucks.
But
More so than you already feel.
Yeah, they go to Cocoa Village, and I like the. Someone said something about like, oh, it's our fight, and Zoro's like, I finally get to cut something, which I thought was a good line. Zoro has great, like as far as one-liners go, Zoro is awesome. And then in the little opening One Piece title thing for this one, I loved the episode 8 one because it's the Arlong pirates in the like the O of the One Piece, but then the Sun pirates are like they're like in the thing, like the Sun pirates, which is like. The Jinbei thing is like it's in there. Yeah, let me go grab a picture of it. But like it's awesome.
While you're doing that, I can. So they break into Arlong Park. Same as the manga. That was great. I love Usopp's fight, kind of going the same way. Usopp just shooting someone in the face and then them getting pissed and both of them hauling ass down the street.
Yes. Yeah. Again, like this is why I kind of differ that I don't think it showed that. Usopp was cowardly enough because like he goes in, he shoots one guy, and the first thing he does is run away. And I thought like, oh, perfect, like yeah, that's exactly Usopp. Like he fakes it being brave, he gets into things, and then as soon as things go south at all, he just runs away. And I thought that they captured that here really well.
It didn't feel like Usopp being a coward to me. It just felt like he doesn't fight face to face, you know. So, to me, it felt like Usopp was brave for being there in the first place and continuing that fight.
Yeah.
But that's fine. It's a small gripe. I don't think Usopp was cowardly enough. But you know what? I did like the Sanji Zoro back to back kind of badass fight scene. The line where Zoro's like, "I had him," and he's like, "If you had him, then I wouldn't have gotten him." That was good.
Yeah, their banter and their fight in this whole episode 8, I thought were really good. I can't fucking find it. I don't know. I don't even know what to search. For some reason, everything I'm searching isn't showing. Anyways, if you go and look up the episode 8 title scrawl, whatever you want to call it, is like
title card.
What is it?
Title card.
Maybe. Let me see.
Yeah, that should come up. One Piece title cards.
Title card. Yeah, here we go. Okay, where is it? Okay,
yeah.
Really low quality. Anyways, yeah.
So I loved when they released Buggy and Buggy just fucking flips him off and says potentially the corniest line.
Yeah, flipping them off I thought was so good.
It was so good, and he had like a corny line which was perfect right after he said, "I'd like to make things right, but it's time to exit stage left."
Yes. Yeah. Buggy's great. Yeah.
So stupid. I sent you. I fucking love it.
Yeah, I sent you the episode 8 title card. It's not Arlong's face. It's the sawtooth things, and then it has the sun pirate thing in the P. Right. That's what that is, right?
Yeah, it is 100%. That's awesome. I didn't even notice.
So that's really here. Let me.
And his sword is the E. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so you can see it on screen, everybody. Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, I didn't even see that. I'm like so hard focused on Jinbei's like sun pirates thing. I didn't even see the E was his sword. That's really cool though.
So without Hachi here, right? Oh, well, the Fishman Karate guy shows up very shortly after, and he's like, "None of you stand a chance against my Fishman Karate." It's just so hammy. I loved it.
The what is it? The Usopp fight here feels like it slows the pace of the whole show down. Did it feel like that to you? I feel like every time we cut to the Usopp fight, it's like oh, we're getting like, oh yeah, Sanji and Zoro, haha, high action, or like Luffy fighting with Arlong, and then it's like Usopp running away. I don't know. It felt weirdly paced to me.
I didn't mind it, but I also didn't think that the fight did anything for the character like the manga version of that fight, where he was like in the manga version he was legitimately trying to like get out of there. Like he wasn't kiting this guy like
right.
And they were trading blows back and forth. He was like, I'm leaving.
And
he gains his courage to fight the dude.
Did you notice they drop an F-bomb in here?
What? No.
With Zoro? Yeah. I think it's right as Buggy leaves. Zoro, I'm pretty sure he goes like fucking clown. Like, I think they got an F-bomb in here. I'm like almost sure. I heard it. I should have gone back, but I heard it. And I immediately wrote a note. I was like, I'm pretty sure Zoro just said fucking clown, like on the Netflix show.
That's great.
Also, yeah, okay, so let me just like go through the end of the Usopp fight because it's over pretty quick. I liked how he played dead with the ketchup. That felt perfectly Usopp to me.
Yeah.
But then here's what I don't get. Okay, you've tricked the fishman. He isn't coming after you anymore. He's leaving, and then you get up and like, hey, dude. It's like if you were just going to confront him, just stand there and confront him. That felt really weird to me, like just overall, like not even from a characterization standpoint, but just from like a general storytelling. Like, yes, you've tricked him into thinking you're dead, and he's leaving, and then you get up. It's like, okay, well now he's not leaving. He's going to fight you. This is the stupidest thing you could have done in this situation.
The reason he gets up is them halfway doing his characterization.
That's what it feels like here.
In the manga, he's legitimately running because he has nothing he can do against this fishman who's faster and can shoot these projectiles that break through everything. And he plays dead, and the fishman, and he laments that he is such a huge pussy, and that he is letting his crew down, his friends down, and he stands up out of frustration for his own actions being so cowardly, and decides to make a stand right there to show that he can be a brave pirate. Of course, none of that is really captured. His true nature is a very, very big coward. Is not really captured. So him standing up here is just a lot.
Felt stupid. Yeah, I just didn't. Yeah. It didn't really work. I did like he calls out. He calls out his special move, whatever. He says like special attack, exploding dart. Like that part, the very end where he shoots the beer or whatever he's got and it explodes. It's like that's cool. That's great. Cool.
Yeah, that was all good. And I do like Sanji, like versus the fishman, Karate Man.
I actually really liked when that fishman
around.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
He says mutton shot. And
he does that at the end.
Zoro makes fun of him, and he's like, all great fighters call out their finishing moves.
He's like, you're going to fit in real well here.
That's a cute callback.
And so I think we talked about this in episode 1 whenever it happens, where we were like, I bet that later on other people call out their attacks, and then eventually Zoro will call out his attack, right? Like that's definitely that arc. The character arc is going there. I actually really liked, for some reason, when that fishman first showed up and like jumps into the water real quick, and we get a scene underwater.
Cool.
Looked really cool. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, like that. It's scary. It should be scary how effective fishermen are at fighting underwater and in the water. And so like I thought that was really great because he like jumps in the water and you're like, oh shit, he's like fast, and he jumps out. It's like okay, but the underwater part was really cool.
Yeah, I like that he used it to like gap close.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a dash.
That was awesome.
It was gross. Go ahead. Sorry.
So the problem is that this was a Sanji fight. That was awesome, but Zoro didn't really have his parallel fight.
I think it's okay because he's injured in this one at the time, and you see that a lot, right? Like he fights off a bunch of the fishermen at the start, and then you see him kind of like clutching his chest and being like, I'm hurt. And I think that's okay because Zoro had his fight against Mihawk, and that's kind of like his big fight. So I think it's okay and good to give Sanji this fight. I was totally okay with that. It's like Sanji hasn't had a big fight against a one-on-one that he's like won. Give him this one, cool. I think as a sort of needing to pare down the manga into a smaller thing to fit in the show, I thought this was fine.
It worked. It's just that Zoro hasn't had a close fight in the series because they've always been one-sided, either in his favor most of the time or completely stomped the other. Like so, Hachi was like the first one where it was kind of 50-50.
That's true. Yeah.
But I guess we can see that in season 2 instead.
It's also it's also one of those things that I think doesn't translate into an adaptation very well. You can't. I know people will want this, but I don't think every time there's like a confrontation where all of the Straw Hats have their little different one-on-one, I don't think every time you do that you can go and do all of them and give them all the same sort of weight and screen time the way that the manga does, right? The next time this really happens is like Alabasta probably, right? And there I think we probably will get all of those individual fights, but again, it's like which of those are the most important? It's like Zoro's is pretty important in Alabasta and Luffy's, and the others are not nearly as important. Like
Sanji's is important just because Sanji
fight there. Yeah, he fights Bonchan. Okay, yeah. But then like Chopper and
the fight itself isn't important there, yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's like, okay, who's getting the fight, and who do we focus on? We can't focus on everyone at the same time. So it's very much one of those things where it's like, okay, Usopp got his little one-on-one thing. Zoro has had his stuff. We can set him aside, and Sanji gets this fight. Which I thought just worked. So it was good.
That's fair. Like you kind of get the gist of Zoro. Like Zoro is a strong swordsman. That's all you kind of need.
For sure.
So I thought, okay, I had an issue with Luffy's fight.
I had a couple issues, but yeah.
It is okay. So the problem is with all of Luffy's fights, it is kind of just him and the villain standing there and talking to each other and then not moving that much. Whereas I feel like Luffy is all about being dynamic and all over the place.
Yeah, which I think works by the end of the fight when he's punching the pillars. I thought that part was the best part of the fight, maybe, because like that was.
That's exactly what I wrote. I was like, Luffy's fights are supposed to be dynamic, but they're just walking in circles in this room. And then I'm like, oh wait, I retract that a little bit. Luffy breaking shit is fun.
That part was good. That was definitely the most sort of character forward part of the fight that I liked a lot.
But here's another issue that comes up is that Arlong is just bumbling around during that. He's like going from pillar to pillar that Luffy has just broken. He's like, how do I fix it? Like he's like holding his hands up. Like it's like, bro, just like bite Luffy or something.
Yeah, well, and I gotta say, because I'm pretty sure I remember this happening in the manga too, but like he gets punched in the mouth and a bunch of his teeth fall, and then he just like regrows them. One, that was gross, but it was the good kind of like, ew,
that
scary.
Was cool, yeah.
But I thought it was cool in the show, and I'm pretty sure that happens in the manga.
But his teeth
also
don't matter here, right?
Right. That was the thing. Is it's like his teeth aren't scary because he doesn't never use them. Or I guess he like tried to bite Luffy at one point, but then didn't. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the Arlong fight could have used a lot of work because it was just them really walking around in circles in the map room.
Yeah, and it's also like I wanted more because I like my favorite parts of Arlong in these two episodes were definitely when he was sort of when he's talking about the racism stuff essentially, right? Like against the fishermen. Mm-hmm. I think that's when he really worked. And I think that a lot of that comes from... I know that was a plot point in Arlong Park, but a lot of that comes more from Fishman Island, where that's like the whole focus of the arc. And a lot of that is kind of brought into this arc with Arlong. And I wish he would have been more focused on like, you're a human and I hate humans and I'm fighting you. It doesn't matter if you think you're a pirate or a devil fruit user or whatever, or, you know, you're attacking me and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I wanted more of him to be like, all you humans always think you can beat me, blah, blah. I wanted to be more rooted in his character.
We needed another episode for that because
I think
it was
so, yeah.
very Nami focused in both of their motivations and whatnot. We needed more of Arlong and Luffy just kind of duking it out, making it a slugfest and talking shit along the way, you know?
I think so, yeah. Which, again, is a time thing. Because, like we mentioned, I actually think the biggest issue here is that Arlong Park, the arc, is not actually given 2 full episodes the way Baratier and Syrup Village were. It's given, like, an episode and a half. Because you get all of episode 7, and then it's the half of episode 8, and then it's over. So, I mean, for sure, if they had just given... more time.
Arlong didn't do much fighting at all. He kind of just walked around. And Luffy threw out punches here and there, and like in his arc, I mean, in Arlong Park, he fought more in Baratier than he did in Arlong Park. It felt like.
Yeah, essentially, but not too bad. But this what is it? I like Usopp when he came back to Arlong Park, like screaming, and he's fun and funny. He may not be the same coward, but I just like Usopp a lot in this. The actor's great. The stuff for him is really fun.
It's really funny to say, right? Because I feel like both Sanji and Usopp, they just need more screen time. Yeah. And I think the show would have worked if it was a bit more in that regard if it was 10 episodes. But the actors themselves just fit the characters so well.
And the writing for them in general is, I think, still generally very good. So
yeah, exactly. It just you can't explore the character motivations and beats too much with the amount of time we have. Yeah. But
I loved Nami coming back.
Bridge the gap. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Nami coming back out of the tower and like holding her arms out to hug them and then running past Sanji is like, again, there's just these little moments in the show that are just like perfect, like absolutely correct. Like you got
Sanji being the "Where's my hug" guy.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
Literally, "Where's my hug" guy. Yeah. For the end of the Luffy Arlong fight, I did think I thought Gum Gum Battle Axe was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. Like his foot going all the way up and then coming down like through the side of the building to hit Arlong like down and make the big hole. Like not all of Luffy's special effects stuff worked, but this one for me, I thought was like, oh yeah, that's sick. That's really cool.
Yeah, Luffy's special effects stuff works when he's doing like one-off punches, but it doesn't work when he's fighting. Usually, in my eyes, but the battle axe was fucking sick.
Battle axe was cool. Was awesome. Well, I thought battle axe was sick. I even thought Gatling was pretty cool. Like not perfect, but yeah.
It was like 4 punches. It felt like I wish it was a little longer.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean it was short, but also like Gatling is supposed to be like fast, lots of punches, and it looked like it. So I thought it was cool. But it's also one of those things that he uses a lot going forward.
Yeah, he uses it a lot, and it's like more sustained. I thought it would be like more than a second. So I want to see more Luffy being dynamic in fights. That's what I want for future.
I definitely think, like we were saying, I definitely think it works better when it is less like he doesn't have to use his stretch powers all the time, but have him like bouncing and flipping around and jumping and moving. Like that feels.
Dude is incredibly mobile, right?
Yeah,
That is Luffy's fighting style. Is he's mobile as fuck. He's all over the place.
Yeah, so that which, like I said, when he's punching the pillars, that was definitely the best of the action stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean that's like the end of Arlong Park, like everything else. So, and that's the first third of the episode.
So there were some lines that I liked. Well, okay, there's one other thing I thought was missing from the Arlong fight is Luffy in the Arlong fight gets to the map room and sees the shackle in the manga. He sees the shackles, sees how Nami was he perceives how Nami was treated. And he starts kicking parts of the map room out during the fight, like the desk where she worked. All of the map. And this was to piss Arlong off like he did here, but it was more of a symbolic gesture to Nami. Kind of breaking her shackles, Yes. Well, and that's very core to Luffy as a like anti-slavery freedom dude, right? Like, he sees you are enslaving someone, you are his enemy, you are bad, and that was added on top of, I wish we saw like scenes of her desk and shit flying out the window because that was like a big symbolic freeing of Nami kind of scene that I would have loved to see in there.
I definitely think like cut the scene of her getting the tattoo and give like another scene of her chained to the table drawing maps and like hating it, and then throw in kicking the table and the chain and stuff out, and then it's like
that would have been great.
It would have been better.
I do wish that was there. That was one I missed. But anyway,
we get our first
onto more stuff we liked. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying after this we get our first like after battle party kind of thing, which is a consistent One Piece thing that happens at the end of every major arc. I liked Usopp telling his stories. I think they're leaning more. That's what I was going
to say. Three cheers for Captain Usopp. I love that.
Yeah, it seems like the live action is leaning a little bit more into Usopp being the sort of like tall tale, compulsive liar than being straight coward. But we'll have to see where it goes. I like the Marines just like, oh shit, it's the Marines. They're here. They finally. We've crossed the A storyline and the B storyline. They have met up. I really like here where Garp is like, all right, arrest Luffy. And Kobe's just like, no, I refuse. I made a little note here that was like, okay, why aren't the other Marines? Just make the other Marines do it if Kobe's saying no. And then like immediately after that, he does that. So
then they
yeah. But I mean, I thought this all was good. This is sort of Kobe's, the almost end of the climax of Kobe's arc, I guess, of like, learning your own. You can't just rely on the Marines or the pirates to tell you what to do or how to act. You have to find your own system of law, whatever it is that Garp says. I don't remember exactly, but
I think that would be if I didn't know Garp's character, that would be the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life, because a Marine just follows orders. That is what a good Marine is. Like someone who says no, I don't want to do that. It's like that's probably going to be problematic for anyone else. But Garp is also such a wild card who also only does what he wants, that it really fits for his character to say something like that.
I hope if we see more Garp in the future, there's more of him like saying no to his command. Like that I think maybe was the one little scene we were missing, was like his command telling him to do something, him being like, no, we're not going to do that. And Kobe being like, what, why? And he's like, I don't know, I make my own rules.
And I do like that they kind of imply that Garp is a wild card earlier when he says, like, I've been offered the admiral position, but
he does
no,
say that, yeah.
Because that means they would control me, or they would chain me in, or something like that. You know?
Exactly, yeah. Like, I'd lose my freedom, but yeah.
But, yeah, exactly. But, I agree. I think, as someone who knows this character, what he said makes perfect sense, but I wonder how that, like, I wonder if what he said sounds stupid as shit to someone who is just like, what? No, like a Marine that, like, that's terrible advice as a vice admiral, Garp. You know?
Yeah, so a member of the U.S. Marines might see Garp differently. We'll see.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So I mean, Garp and Luffy fight. I thought this was good. I thought it was good that Garp absolutely fucking schools him.
Yeah,
because he should.
He schools him.
This is like essentially new content, right? Like this doesn't happen in the manga at all.
No, it doesn't.
So it's interesting to think about how do I feel about this. I liked it. I liked that Luffy was like, I'm never giving up on my dream, and then they both just laugh, and then it's like, okay, yes, Garp and Luffy related, we get it. Garp being like, I just needed to, like make sure. It's weird to think about this. It's like, is this what would have is this what Oda would have written? And I can see it. Maybe I don't know. I'm having a hard time thinking about it because it doesn't fully.
Garp would ever let it go. That he's a Marine. He's still pissed about that. To this day.
Right. Well, and I think the thing is, I don't think he would admit to it. I think he would play coy and be like, oh, good, my grandson is still free and he's still a good person even though he's a pirate. But I don't think he would straight up be like, all right, I'm letting you go. He would like, oh no, there's meat, I'm distracted, wink, like, go leave Luffy. Like, he wouldn't be quite as straightforward as it was here, I think, is what I'm feeling.
In Water 7, when they all meet, like, and they're all kind of just chatting, Garp, Luffy, the Straw Hats, Helmeppo, Kobe, Garp chases them the next day. So it's all about a formality, more or less, but Garp would still chase him. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think he kind of gives the impression that it's like, all right, if I come across you again, I got to do this stuff. So, yeah, but I generally liked it. Again, I thought that both of them laughing is sort of like, Garp especially is like, okay, this is correct. This is good.
That was good.
Yeah. And then we get the wanted poster reveal. It's here, 30 million.
I thought it was cool.
And Luffy's reaction to it is great.
His reaction to it was fucking great. I love how stupid the wanted poster looks. It is so Luffy. I love it.
Yeah.
In the manga version, the wanted poster is unique for a pirate wanted poster because Luffy's smiling and happy. Here, it is the dorkiest smile I've seen.
Yeah, which is perfect.
I thought it was great. Yeah, that worked super well.
And I really liked, this is the whole scene between Luffy and Kobe. There's some good lines in this show, and I thought that them saying sort of like, be a good Marine and like be a good pirate. Like, I thought that was great. Like, because they're both just kind of telling each other like, hey, we're on different paths, but we feel the same. We're going to be free and do our own thing and like be good. And they both kind of, I think Kobe especially kind of realizes like, oh, Luffy, again, like hashtag not all pirates. Like, he's not like other pirates. He is a good person and a pirate, and I can be a good person and a Marine, and that we can coexist and work towards the same thing. And so I don't know. I just thought like that scene for me was really good. I really liked that a lot.
Agreed. And I think the scene was supposed to show that there are both good Marines and good pirates.
Exactly.
I think the show. I think this puts Smoker in a weird spot because since none of the Marine stuff happened this way in the manga, we'd only seen kind of shithead Marines up till this point, mostly.
True, yeah, I hadn't think about that. Yeah, so like Axehand Morgan and the mouse dude,
Morgan, the mouse dude, and so with Smoker upcoming, he is supposed to be the representation of the good Marine, to show, hey, there are good Marines too, like.
I think it will be more.
But his role is kind of taken. By Garp.
Let's talk about that at the very end because that is the last thing we see. There's like a couple other things.
Sure.
Oh, we get the, which again, this is like sort of straight out of the manga, so I liked it. We get everyone seeing the Luffy wanted poster back on his hometown. What's her name?
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and a bunch of other people where it's like it's great. And then
I love how Usopp's like, "Hey, look, I'm in it too," and Sanji's like, "This is Luffy's wanted poster," and he's like, "It's okay to be jealous. Feel what you feel."
yeah. Again, Straw Hats are great. I love this.
Yeah.
I like Kobe and Helmeppo sort of like swearing themselves to Garp in a way, and Garp being like, "My training methods have been called the worst kind of punishment." And I like Helmeppo being like, part of this season, or a big part of the season, is sort of everyone having their dreams to chase. And Kobe kind of has his dream. I liked Helmeppo getting to a point where he's like, I want to show Roronoa Zoro that like, not, I don't remember what he says exactly, but he's like, that I can be good with a sword too, or something like that, right?
He's not the only good swordsman.
Right, yeah, exactly. He's not the only good swordsman. Something like that, yeah. He's like, I want to get stronger too, just like my friend. And he looks at Kobe and it's like, it's like Helmeppo, one of my favorite characters in the whole show, to be honest. Like Dude,
I'm wondering if that actor was just so good that they needed to give him more, because the actor is great, and it was a pleasure seeing Helmeppo on screen.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, I mean, like, and we know, as you know, spoilers for the manga, like we know Helmeppo is now like a good pirate or a good Marine, like later on, right? So but we never saw that process happen at all. It was just like he joined the Marines. You don't see him for like 900 chapters, and he shows up and has like a cool little eye thing and is a good pirate. A good Marine.
He becomes the Nier Automata of Marines. With
yeah,
his little eye.
But it was cool to see this. I think season 2, we don't see Kobe, Helmeppo, and Garp in season 2. That's my guess.
I don't think we should. So
I think it's the right decision to make. I don't think we see. I wrote my next note here is, oh shit, Mihawk and Shanks. This part was cool.
Great. That was great. I loved everything about that scene. It worked perfectly.
Again, like I was saying, how we have complaints about some of the characters earlier on, and then they fix them later. Like I remember you complaining in episode like 1 or 2 or 3 about Shanks not quite being right, but I thought here like Shanks was perfect. He's like,
well, this didn't address my complaints at all. My complaints is that he's not intimidating, but that he got the party hobo side of Shanks perfectly. Yeah. And this held true here. I still don't think he's intimidating, but I thought he's a great good time Charlie.
Yeah, I love that it's like he's hungover, because I think we're gonna see. I'm trying to think, because season 2, I don't know. This whole thing was great. Like, it was great that his like crew could laugh when he makes the joke about like I could still take you with like one arm behind my back. It's also a cool nod. It's a cool nod to manga readers who like know that Shanks is like one of the world's greatest swordsmen. Like maybe right under, at this point he's probably second to Mihawk, but in contest with Mihawk, I guess. So it's cool for him to call out and be like, no, I'm really good. I could take you.
Yeah. Shanks is fucking great when he's just vibing.
Which is good, because that's all he does until Wano in the manga. He just kind of vibes. Yeah. So it's like cool.
Yeah. Exactly what we need out of him going forward.
I have to say, I noticed some people making comments of this on episode 1 and 2, but I didn't go back and look to them. But my God, did they do Ben Beckman dirty with the actor they cast? Ben Beckman is like
I guess I didn't pay attention.
I also wasn't, but I noticed.
Was he?
He's like. Man, I don't want to be too mean. He is not as pretty as the Ben Beckman in the manga. Ben Beckman in the manga is like, oh yeah, good looking, second in command looking guy. And this one, he's kind of like I don't know, like an overweight, middle-aged dude. It's like, I guess that's, you don't recognize him because he is like a completely different looking person than the manga.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'd have to go back and check. I don't think I noticed him.
Drinking Together was great. I love the music in this series is great. When they drop the flag on the Sunny as the sort of
the Jolly
and the music swells
so
and it's like, oh my God, it's like, that's so good. This whole last scene on the Sunny is so good.
It was very good, and I loved Luffy's little mini freakouts where he's like, wow, yeah, he's just making noises. He's that excited. It was so fun.
We got foreshadowing for Reverse Mountain, where Nami's like, I don't get it. Like, how we can't go up this river. How do we go up a mountain using a river? Wink, wink, wink. Haha.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. Them giving, like, saying their dreams with their feet on the barrel with the like flashback cut in. To me, that was perfect. Like, that was so good. Loved that so much.
That was very good.
And I think, excellent. It's another one of those things where it's like you mentioned that they didn't really go with Usopp wanting to be a great warrior of the sea or whatever, but they did it here, and I thought it worked. It was like he doesn't know what he wants. What does he actually want? What's going to make his dead mother happy? And he's like, I'm going to be a great warrior of the sea. I was like, cool. It works for me there. I thought it was great.
That worked. Yeah. I still think they need to do more with Usopp, but we will see, right?
Yeah, there's more time for it, and I again, it's like I still like him, so I like him more than I did in the manga, just in general. But yeah, it's
that's because they took out all of the scenes of him being cowardly. That's why you like him more. But I think that's part of his character. So I don't know. We'll
see. And then we'll
figure it out.
Yeah, the last scene we get is my boy Smoker looking at Luffy's wanted poster with
I should
the two
mention
cigars.
the We Are pull out, like the We Are
did they drop the anime
opening?
Yeah, I missed that because I don't know the anime, but
yeah, fair. And then we got Smoker.
We get Smoker. Yep. He's got two cigars. They obviously didn't cast an actor for him because that's just a stand-in doing that, but that's okay. I'm hyped. I think we're gonna get season 2 B plot. I think is going to be Smoker, right? I think because
he's going to be the Marine representation.
Yes, because I think in season 1 we got A plot Straw Hats, B plot Marines. I think it'll stay true in season 2, and what it'll be is it'll be kind of Smoker having the same, maybe not the same, but a similar arc to Kobe and Garp and all them, where it's like, oh, I'm a Marine, I'm here to take in pirates, and he meets Luffy, and he's a pirate, and I need to take you down. And then by the time he gets to the end of Alabasta, and it's like, okay, the pirates just literally like saved and freed this entire land, and he'll be like, okay, you're good pirates, I'm not going to bother you. Because there's room for Tashigi in there to be similar, or to be kind of fighting for them being good, because Tashigi's always been a little bit more understanding of good pirates, and meeting Zoro. Maybe there's a little bit of a love story, Tashigi Zoro. I don't know. I feel like they might do that in the live action. We'll have to see.
I have no idea. Either way,
but yeah, Smoker's here. Smoker's one of my favorite One Piece characters. So,
one good thing about Smoker being here is that, unlike the Marines we've seen up until this point, where Garp and Luffy were just playing a game of tag, essentially, Smoker is way more antagonistic.
He's
towards the
very
Straw Hats.
serious about his job. Is how I would put it. Yeah.
So he's actually a threat to the Straw Hats instead of.
And it also is a good. We'll get him using the Sea Stone weapons and stuff, and we'll see how it's another thing. I think we're talking about this like offline or after the last episode or something, but it's interesting that in this season we really only see, is it 2 devil fruits? We see Luffy's and what was the other one?
Yeah, for context, we were talking about how Oda off the top in One Piece introduced superpowers via devil fruits, but like the first one we see is, of course, Luffy's rubber fruit. Then Alvida's like smooth fruit or whatever.
Does she have it the first time we meet her? I don't even remember.
I don't even remember.
She didn't have it in the show, or if she did have it, she didn't use it in the show. So
she didn't have it. But if we ignore her, like the next one we get is Buggy, who can split up.
Buggy, that's right.
And then we don't get fruits at all till Smoker.
Yeah, and after we were talking about this, but this is obvious anime and manga spoilers going forward. It'll be interesting because in season 1, right? Yeah, it's like it's Buggy and Luffy, and then everybody else is just strong or has their own thing going. And then in season 2, it's going to be like we get Smoker, right? We get our first Logia, and then we get Chopper, our first Zoan fruit. And then we get, and then we meet Ace, Ace might be the B plot of season 2. Maybe we'll see. We get Ace, who's another Logia.
And Smoker. Ace is only there for a little bit.
Smoker he goes and does some stuff though. So, I think it'll be Smoker B plot, and we'll see a little bit maybe of. I wonder if we'll see like Shanks drinking with Whitebeard or Blackbeard or somebody. Might be a little bit of. We should get Blackbeard in Logetown, right? Isn't that where he first shows up?
I don't think he's in Logetown.
Is he? Where does he? I thought he showed up in Logetown. Isn't that when they have like the pie eating contest or something? Like him and Luffy?
No, that's later.
That's later.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's before Skypiea. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that'll be like season 3. But yeah, that's good. So yeah, but then so season 2, season 2 devil fruits are gonna be like absolutely wild because it's like Crocodile, Smoker, maybe we see Ace, and then
we 100% see Ace, Smoker, Chopper,
Ace, Smoker, Chopper, Croc.
Yeah.
Like those four,
and Robin.
And Robin, yeah, who has a pretty wild. Although Robin's is going to feel kind of similar to Luffy's, I think, in that it's like, weird hand arm stuff.
If you think about it, like the first conventional feeling superpower / devil fruit is either Smokers or Aces, right?
Ace feels much more typical, sort of like I control fire and can become fire. I've seen that before, right? I've not necessarily seen Smokers before, but yeah.
Yeah, at least those are the ones that I feel like a normal person can look at and say, "Oh, that looks useful," you know.
Yeah.
Both of theirs. Whereas like the rest are just weird, odd fringe powers.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's wrap up with some like favorites. What do you think is your favorite episode of all these 8 episodes?
The first Baratier episode.
Yes, episode 5. That's also my favorite.
Yeah.
I think that was the best episode that they made.
Yeah, easily. It was focused. It had everything going for it. The banter was on point. I think the changes they made worked really well. I think everything about that episode was good.
Yep, the Mihawk fight is in that. Absolutely excellent. Do you have a favorite actor / character?
Nami.
Or you think Nami was your favorite of the whole show?
She was a standout. She was
Nami's
my favorite
really
of the whole
good.
show. She was the most nuanced character for the whole show, and the actress pulled her weight.
And she's given the most to do, and she did a lot with it. And I think that shows a lot.
Agreed. That's not to say the rest weren't amazing. I like
they're all
a lot
good
too,
for sure.
You know, like
I also.
How about you?
So Sanji, I just think Zeph. I think every scene that Zeph was in
good
for
choice.
me was like this guy. I mean, like he could act circles around like almost anybody else in the show. I thought he was just excellent. I thought Garp was also really good. Buggy,
I'm a huge we have to say Buggy, yeah, because
I have to give a shout out to Buggy. Good. Yeah, there's a reason people are simping for this guy. He's very good. There's
a reason that he was like in all of the marketing.
Yeah, and a lot of it. Yeah, he was great. I mean, it's like it's so hard to be because it's like also we haven't really called him out that much, but like the actor who played Luffy is like amazing. Like he's perfect. Like, he's so good.
He was great. He was great.
Not definitely not the strongest actor of all of them, but he was so perfectly Luffy in so many situations that it was like, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think like the casting and acting was so on point that I can only think of like I'd say all of them were like top tier. And I can only think of like a handful of actors and actresses that I didn't think were that strong.
And they were all like second tier, lower,
side characters.
Side characters who don't appear much, yeah.
So all in all, the casting director fucking deserves all the money.
Slated, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite moment of the whole show where you just went like, "Yep, that was perfect"?
That's a hard one. Because
I'm gonna say
a lot of Straw Hat banter. I was just a fan of.
Yeah, their scene in Baratie I think was good. I actually think I loved Mihawk's introduction scene. To me, that felt the sort of like big, epic, action-y. I like that we finally saw someone who was like really, really powerful, like doing shit in the One Piece world in this live action. Watching him just sort of like cut down guys and having them go flying, like on wire stunts, whatever, and then cutting a boat in half. To me, that's the whole scene felt like very cool. And the Mihawk, another good actor, the Mihawk actor, I thought did great. I love the way that he played the kind of cool, calm guy. That was definitely one of my favorite scenes in the whole show.
I can't pinpoint a scene that I thought was perfect. I think that was a very good one, though.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the banter just generally, like I was smiling the whole time. The Straw Hats were just having a good time with each other.
I think the intro of like...
I want to call out Luffy's actor, though, smiling through sadness a lot of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was strong acting from him.
Yeah, he's great. I think like the beginning of episode 5, I think it's like the beginning of episode 3, 5, and 7, where it's just like the Straw Hats on the boat having fun and talking. Like all of those start of the episodes are great.
Oh, I found one. Those are all great. And interspersed throughout the episodes too, like perfectly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mine was Zeph crying after Sanji like found out he like chopped off his own fucking leg.
Oh, the flashback. Yes. Yeah. God. Yeah, that was also
that was a very good one.
I also I have to put one more out there, like just Zeph and Garp talking. Those whole scenes, just because those two actors were so good, were also great. Like it's very encouraging that we're like talking about our favorite scenes, and there's like 12 scenes we've listed that are all very good that we like a lot.
There was so much that worked. Yeah.
There's so much good in here. I mean, I don't know. Do you have any other questions? Anything else you want to talk about? We've kind of given our season 2 predict. You want to give a couple of last season 2 predictions. One with that. I've kind of given mine that I think B plot's going to be Smoker. I think last 4 episodes are Alabasta. If they do 8 again, if they do 10, it'll be 4 or 5. Biggest challenge of season 2 is going to be Chopper. We talked about this.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
getting Chopper right, either as a puppet or a CGI character, likely. That's going to be tough.
He has no chance of working as a puppet in my eyes because he needs to be so much more mobile than a puppet would allow.
I think that he could be a puppet in some scenes to give him more of kind of a real grounded feel when interacting with the characters, in the way that Baby Yoda is like a puppet sometimes. I don't know, puppetry's come a long way since
I'm not
Star Wars.
blaming the puppetry. I'm saying he needs to be mobile, so he needs to be CGI, and they can't reconcile a CGI character and a puppet character to make them look the same. You know,
you'd be surprised because I
saw the CGI in this show. I don't think I would be. It all looks like CGI. You know, I mean,
yeah, and that's kind of the scariest part. So.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good, but I know CGI when I see it. I don't know if they can. I don't know what they do with Chopper, but they clearly made
the thing I'm most
work
curious
so they
about
can figure it out better than I can. You know,
I hope above everything they can get Jamie Lee Curtis, who is a phenomenal actress. True Lies, she's done a bunch of stuff. Fish Called Wanda is one of my favorite movies. Freaky Friday. She is a huge One Piece fan. She says that Robin is her favorite character. She's obviously too old to play Robin, but people have been fan casting her as Kureha from Chopper's arc on Drum Island since the One Piece live action was announced, and she
said she wanted to.
Yeah, she's done a ton of interviews. People ask her about it, and she's like, "Call me, I'll do it. Get me in there."
I think you can effectively say confirmed at this point because it's 1 episode, 1 or 2 episodes.
It'll be 2 episodes probably, but yeah,
it's not even a hard commitment, right?
And this point, it's so hard. At this point, it's I think people will be disappointed if she's not cast as Kureha, right? Which is such a bad expectation to set, but also I hope it works out. The biggest thing is you don't know if actors have other things going on. Although she hasn't done a whole lot. She was in Everything Everywhere All at Once and was amazing in that. I think she won some.
She's phenomenal, Oscar? But yeah. I also think that her heyday in acting was a bit ago.
Oh, for sure. I mean, she's an older actor for sure. She's 60 now or 70, so not 70. She's probably 60s, but early 60s. But
all that to say is, I think she's immensely talented, and she likely has time to do this. You know,
I would think so too. Yeah, it feels like one of those things that's surely it's got to happen, right? Surely the as soon as we get season 2 greenlit, we know it's going to have Drum Island. We know Kureha's in there. I desperately hope it happens.
Okay, so for season 2, my question is, what are they skipping to get to Alabasta? Because we need to get to Alabasta, and there is enough content in the manga to not get there in season 2. So you need to skip shit in order to get there. In my eyes, they skip everything aside from Logetown, which is necessary.
Logetown is episode 1, for sure.
Yeah, you need Reverse Mountain and
you have to do Reverse Mountain, and you have to do Labon. Yeah, so
and you need Drum Island. You need those 3. I think you can effectively skip Whiskey Peak and whatnot.
I think you pick you pick one of either there's the 2 giant guys fighting, right, that are before Alabasta.
Yeah.
And then there's the fight with Mr. 2. With Bon Clay, the wax guy, right? That happens.
I think you just put that in Drum Island. You just intersperse it, you know.
Yes.
Intersperse those moments.
I think the best thing to do would be you cut the giants. Even though giants are important, I think you get them later on. You get them in Inez lobby. You hear them talked about a lot. So I think giants can appear again. They feel important to some of the plot, but also I think it's okay to cut
Usopp's character, which is just a bummer that I think they also need to be cut, you know?
Yeah, it's another one of those things though, right? It's that they're introduced in, I don't know, chapter 140, 130, something like that. And what they introduced to us as manga readers is only in the last 3 chapters become important, where they have talked about actually going to Elbaf next. And it's okay, that's something you can cut and find anywhere else in the seasons of the show to put that in, right? To put something to let us know about Elbaf and giants and all that stuff. So it's like I
think
that
the worry here is stripping every moment of Usopp characterization.
Yeah. I mean, you could. Yeah, we'll see.
They just need to write a different part in. To
it has to be something else. Which I think. Yeah, I think Drum Island being sort of expanded or kind of crushed together with some of the other stuff could work too. Maybe the giants are on Drum Island. I don't know. They could do that. But yeah, because I definitely think that Alabasta, as an arc, surely it has to be half your season or more. Like, so much stuff happens. It's almost 100 chapters in the manga, and it's like you do not. This was basically 100 chapters for a whole season, and so you can't. There's not a whole lot you can cut. I mean, there is a lot you can cut in Alabasta, but you can't skip. You can't skip them getting captured. There's 3 different crocodile fights you have to go through. There's
you need the context of the Civil War in Alabasta.
Context of the Civil War, Vivi's history. You have to get her. You have to get the climax, the explosion, the bomb, all of the other fights. Probably in the last 2. It's like
you need
there's 4 or 5
episodes.
Yeah, 4 or 5 episodes of season 2 have to be Alabasta for it to work. So, because again, I think the big thing about Arlong Park here is. Yeah, the big thing about Arlong Park here was that it was an episode and a half, and it needed to be either 2 full or 2.5 episodes or something. So hopefully they give Alabasta enough time, because Alabasta, I think, is my favorite arc. I think it's so immaculate. I think it's perfect in every way. It's just classic One Piece while also being excellent. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so we will see. We'll see how this is all split up. I think the team did just such a good job. Like, more than I could have imagined with the franchise.
Yeah,
so
we talked about it.
Continue.
We talked about the start. We thought this was impossible 4 years ago, 5 years ago when they announced it. It would never work. And not only
I truly thought that.
Yeah. I did too. I said this is the most anti-live action thing you could ever do. Pick any other series and it would work better. So the fact that they made it, and not only is it just like it works, but it's also like pretty dang good. Like, not perfect, but pretty dang, like, really good. Is
agreed.
Amazing. It makes me happy watching it, which is
no episode felt like a slog. Everything was interesting.
Yeah.
So
even I
had a great time.
Even Surf Villagers, I was sort of like, I didn't like those as much, but it's like the only thing that felt like a slog was the Zoro flashbacks. I will never stop harping on. I thought those were awful, but everything else was great. So yeah, this is a really impressive endeavor from. Yeah, I mean, just blown out of the water that they pulled it off and made it good, and it works, and they understand the characters. I think Oda's involvement is obvious to see. It's great. I cannot wait for season 2. Season 2 should have better content than season 1.
Where's Momu though? So we're all wondering.
I don't know who that is.
Is a big sea cow that Arlong had. It's a gold sea monster.
I remember. Yeah. I remember the sea cow.
Yeah, Luffy grabbed him and threw him into the ocean.
Oh man, it's great stuff. Okay, any final thoughts?
No. I had a great time with it. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with season 2. Hoping they figure out Chopper, and hoping it's just as good.
Yeah, I hope that they know that Chopper is their biggest hurdle for season 2. It's not Alabasta, it's Chopper. So we'll see. Cool. Hey, thank you for watching. Thank you for being with us as we went through One Piece live action, everyone. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about all this stuff? If you stuck through and watched all these episodes, let us know in the comments. I'd love to have a discussion about them. I know there's a lot of different thoughts about this. A lot of people love it. Some people hate it. What do you think? Let us know. Give me a follow on Twitter, at WGB Manga. Give us a like, subscribe, anything you want. We'd like to have you here. That's it for me.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Adios.
I forgot I was a part of this podcast.
I'll
see you later.
Yeah, adios, everybody. Hey, thanks for listening. And hey, don't forget to read more manga.